we have a great presenter today. Her name is Mahoney, and she's the Director of Distribution Project Management at Eversource Energy. And she's actually a UConn alumni, electrical engineering.
How long ago?
And she also got her MBA from RPI. Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute. She has over 25 years experience in numerous aspects of electrical engineering, design, and organizational leadership within the utility industry. Her current responsibilities include leading project management, resource planning, and construction teams in support of the distribution system in Connecticut. She also has expertise in implementation of new technologies, development of strategic plans, labor relations and negotiations, positive change agent, process redesign and improvement, and data analysis tool creation. Diana has held many roles over this past 25 years, including Director, Division Operations, and Director of Operations Support, and Director of Transmission Engineering. So let's please welcome Diana for our presentation on executive presence, creating your personal brand.
Thank you, Aileen. I realize I stand between you and pizza. I've had opportunity to give this presentation to a lot of our newer engineers that we hire into the company because it helps you fit into the organization that you're going to work in, whatever environment that is. So now you're all graduates, right? So you're going to be leaving the school soon, staying here forever. Someday you'll be in that workforce. And it's really important to know how you're going to fit in and how you want to be perceived. Executive presence is really a lot about the perception about you. And that's what we're going to talk about. So it's not technical. It's the easiest thing you're ever going to sit and listen to. But it'll make you think. So yes, UConn alumni, go Huskies. I was a class of 1980. This school is very good. All right, so, what is it? Is it, how you run a meeting? Is it your engagement and how effective you are sitting there at the desk? Is it your organization skills? Is it how you give a presentation, your energy in a presentation? Is it your neatness of your desk? And I'm going to say it's all of those things. It's all of those things and more. It's very much, like I said before, the perception people have when they think of you. So you realize you communicate in a lot of different ways. So I'm going to actually get you guys engaged a little bit here. Can you think of at least 5 different ways we communicate? They're so obvious.
Eye contact?
Eyes. That's the first one. So a range of emotion from your eyes, from the, oh my God, or scowl, or just your eyes. And so you can be saying a whole lot of things to someone that you're trying to communicate just by using your eyes. I don't know if I guess the next one. I don't know if I remember the next one. Usually that was the first one. What's another one?
Ears.
Language, absolutely. I know that's on the list. Which one? The next one. What else? Body. Big time. Body. Another one?
Digital.
I'm sorry?
Digitally? Through email?
Digitally? Well, that's verbal communication. Absolutely. What you write down. Let's see what we have left. A lot of things you can do with that mouth. That's going to say something before you even say a word. It's going to tell people something, and they're going to take that message you're trying to relay completely different. Now, you don't have somebody talking to you, and you do it digitally, you're missing some of the stuff. You never know what they're going to think. All right, body, we said that. So, someone who's sitting there like this, what do you think? Not very engaged, they don't care. And so, you have to work hard at trying to get them to be more open to the conversation. And it's the same thing when you want to present. If I present it like this, it's probably a turn-off. So even you can do all kinds of crazy things with your body, but realize that people are looking at your body and it's communicating to them with the words, with the eyes, with everything else. Your voice, the tone of your voice, how quickly you're talking, the choice of words, the inflection. So if I gave this whole presentation like this, you'd go to sleep immediately and probably get up and start eating pizza without you being done. And then definitely the words that you choose. How clear you are in communicating, how concise you are with spreading that message. So your audience, you guys, and then I'm looking at you, goes both ways, are constantly watching you, constantly examining how you're saying things and how you are communicating, and then they're interpreting that message. So personal branding is really the perception, is the message or impression that people have when they meet you, when they hear you, when they think about you. So really, the rest of this presentation is going to give you some tips on how to create the personal brand you want with whatever environment you're in. It could be in the classroom, it could be in the workplace, it could be at home. So you build a brand with everyone that you have an opportunity to communicate with, and that's all we have to do in life is communicate. So all I did was I did some research, and Suzanne Bates came up with some steps for creating your personal brand, and I kind of took a play on that, play on the slides. So we'll go through those 7 steps. So first, substance. Learn good presentation skills. Use your hands. No hands in the pocket. It's big enough. Put your hands in your pockets. Not the whole hand. That looks a little too. You can put a little bit. I'm not digging in. You're tempted to play with change, keys, or something like that. But learn how to present. Definitely learn how to write. I always say that the newer generation is kind of in a tougher spot because you do so much texting and abbreviating that you forget how to write the full sentence and spell the words out. And so when you're working with people like me, I don't necessarily know all the little shorthand. Oh, I'm going to have a hard time understanding. So learn how to write well, and then learn how to speak well. The key to this is really knowing your audience. So if you were speaking to a CEO or even a vice president of a company, they want it quick, to the point, no fluff, as few slides as you possibly can. I would never do this in front of my CEO. It's too long, but it's good for an educational viewpoint. So when I'm talking to one of the VPs and I have a request, I usually go in there and I have something to ask. My first slide is, this is what I want. And then I'm going to explain why. Instead of starting up, this is my problem, and this is my solution, and therefore this is what I want. They're toned off before you get to that last slide. So you start with what I want, and then the rest is kind of nice back up here. So I'm going to read you a little story. My glasses. And it's called Get to the Point. And it's a funny story from a leadership book of common sense for managing people. So on the island of Brevity, the natives hated people who talked too much. They said what they had said to say as few words as possible and expected everyone else to do the same. One year, famine struck the neighboring island of Amtuan, and the people sent representatives to Brevity to ask for help. An envoy arrived and launched into a description of the havoc wrought by the famine, the suffering on Amtuan people, and the implications that the disaster had for the islanders in the area. He spoke for nearly 2 hours, and many in Brevity delegation fell asleep. When the envoy finally finished his plea, the leader of Brevity group said that he couldn't remember the beginning of the envoy's speech and wasn't even hazy about the details that followed. The envoy was sent back empty-handed with a request that someone else be sent to explain the situation. Amtuan immediately sent another envoy, urging him to be as brief as possible to request for aid. The new envoy appeared before the governing body of Brevity, holding empty rice bags in his hand. He spoke only 3 sentences. My people are starving, these bags are empty, please fill them. And then he sat down. The head of Brevity, governing body, immediately ordered the bags be filled. Then he took envoy aside and said, there was no need to point out that the bags were empty. We could see that, and it wasn't necessary to ask to fill them. We would have done it anyway. If you come, remember, don't talk too much. It's all about knowing your audience, right? People know they speak very, very short. Just get to the point. Fill them. So that's step 1. Communication, substance, know how to communicate. Your personal style. And people hate to admit it, and this is one of those really soft ones, the way you look, the way you dress, says a lot about you. So notice when you get into whatever work environment you end up getting into, what are other people wearing and fit in. And if you want to be the crazy styles, then you have to work for the company with the crazy styles. You think that's in the utility business? But you got to know that going into it. If I'm going to work for the utility, I know it's going to be pretty straightforward. We're business casual. This is kind of business casual. I don't need to wear a suit. I don't need to wear like that. Guys don't have to wear ties if they don't want to. Some do, some don't. But the way you speak says volumes about who you are as a professional. So you dress sloppy, people are going to assume that you do sloppy work. If you dress neat, they tend to assume you're going to do pretty, they're going to pay attention to what they're doing. It's crazy, but it's true. Your attire should make you feel confident and powerful. That should give you that confidence. You know, when you wear those pajama bottoms around, you tend to kind of, you get casual about it. And so when you don't wear the pajama bottoms, you're kind of up there. All right. So it's really not as much about exactly what you're wearing. You don't need to spend $1 million on a piece of clothing. It's just wear something that makes you feel like you want to be perceived. All right. I'm going to show you some pictures. What do you think would be appropriate and not appropriate? I'm thinking it's one on the top left if you're going to a costume party or working in a restaurant, maybe that would be appropriate, but not to the workplace. But there's plenty of others. Jeans is a big one. You know, a lot of companies now will do jeans on Friday. Sometimes our company will do fundraisers for United Way. So if you want to wear jeans on Friday, you pay a couple dollars, you get a button or a sticker, and you get to wear jeans on Friday. But they don't expect you to be wearing jeans with holes in them, or rips in them, or stains, or nicer. You're a nicer pair of jeans. You don't have to press them. I know people who do. But you guys know what an iron is, right? Pressing your jeans. I think that's a riot. They get creases in their jeans. But anyhow, if you look like you're going to be gardening, then someone in my position might say, you might want to go home and garden today. So it happens. So dress for the job. Dress appropriate for the job. Look around and dress appropriate. So physical language. Your body language says a whole lot. We talked about this earlier. How you sit. Your arms folded, your arms down, how you walk, how you move, how you gesture is all communicating before you even open your mouth. In fact, according to some research, what do you think? Hide this just in case you can see through my piece of paper. Between body language, tone of voice, and the words you say, what's the highest percentage of how someone's going to interpret you? What's the most strongest?
Body language.
Body. You guess by what percent?
70.
Sorry?
70.
7, not quite that high, but 55% is based just on your body language. So before you say a word, your body's giving a message to someone, and they're already they're going to take now those words maybe differently than you intended if you come at them with the wrong body language. Tone of voice is 38%. So your voice, the words that you pick, only 7% of the message. So while words are important, there's a lot more to it. And another example of that is we talked about emails. We talked about sending texts. You can read words and interpret them completely different. So without the body, without the eyes, without the inflection of the voice, it can mean very, very different things. Take these words, and I'll say the same sentence, but stress the different word each time. I never said he stole the money. I never said he stole the money. I never said he stole the money. Or is it, I never said he stole the money. I never said he stole the money. Or I never said he stole the money. It means something different every time you say it. So when you write it in a sentence, how do you know how they're going to interpret it? What's that? Wasn't it? Maybe you bold something, I don't know. So you just have to be cognizant of that when you're communicating. You know, oftentimes, I used to have a manager who was, 20 feet from my desk, and he'd send me an email. Are you kidding me? So I get up and I walk over to his office. I was like, you want to talk about something? Because to me, it just gets lost in translation when you do too much with just email. It's great when you have this, long distance kind of real quick, but every now and then you have to pick up the phone and talk. You have to. It's just don't forget that when you get out in the business world. You're gonna have to have the face-to-face. You need to have the talk. People need that. They need to know where you're coming from. I got an email just yesterday from my boss that just said, Diana, never mind, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. And I'm just like, what'd I do wrong? I mean, I fussed about it all night thinking, that felt like I was getting scolded. For all I know, no, because then I started reading emails before it, and they posed a question, and somebody else answered it, so he's telling me, never mind. But 3 exclamation points. I started talking about that. So, you know, the written word can just spin up people that, you know, if you end up being the boss someday, you'll spin up your folks unnecessarily. So really work on all the rest. So do things with purpose, with confidence, with spirit, with energy. So, you know, don't be what I would call the energy sucker that kind of walks into the room and just sucks the energy out of it. Be the one that brings the energy to the table. More people will want to be around you. You'll be more successful. Everybody will want you on their team because you have that energy, you have the drive. We all know you're very bright people, so that just comes with it. But now I need the rest of the picture to go. People are reading you 24/7, watching you no matter what, and you're watching them whether you think so. So, vocal skills. You don't want to talk on monotone. You know, lift your voice, speak, be heard, demonstrate again the confidence, the enthusiasm. You know, show what you have. You have a lot of knowledge, express the knowledge, but again, choose the right words for the audience. I've been in meetings where very brilliant engineers are talking to an officer, and he assumed he would be talking over her heads. He dumbed it down to the point where she was completely insulted. Completely insulted, and that was the end. And that's like a career ender, because it was an officer who was speaking. So now he's like labeled as the smart aleck, you know, very brilliant, but can't talk to anybody. And I've been working with him. I just met with him and gave him the CV speaker. And we're working on, you know, making some corrections to how he speaks to people, the choices of words. He happens to have a very strong voice. So when he walks into the room, it's really loud. I'm like, whoa, okay. That's your natural voice, I get it. But you have to find a way to bring it down just a notch. Because that's scary to most people. And he is brilliant, and you want to be able to share that brilliance, but you can't yell at people to do it. And that's hard when that's your natural voice. You just happen to have a very natural human voice. It's also very important to pause when you want to make a point. So don't rush right through what you're communicating. Take your time, think about it, it's okay. A little relaxation, just think about what is the next, then say. Last week, I was out in California at San Diego, Distributech. It's one of the largest technical conferences there are. And utilities from all over go to this. And then there's members, thousands of members. So I was asked to speak to a group. There was maybe 50 people or so in the room. And it was far more technical, obviously, than this, right? So, but I figured, all right, I've done this once before, and I kept it very technical. I'm going to have a little fun with it. Be a little different. Surprise, surprise, right? So at one point, I'm talking about substations to them and a new protection and controls design we have using cloud technology. And so I was going to show them a picture of an actual substation. But before I did that, I'm like, all right, everybody in the room, I want you to close your eyes, walk into a substation, and go into your favorite substation, and look up into the control house and picture the cables. So I wanted them to create a picture in their mind. But just, you know, that's a very different way of presenting than your typical Distributech type of technical presentations. Which can go through paper to paper to paper, or you're talking about something that is very technical. So, you know, I just chose to do something different, and it seemed to work out really well. You know, a lot of positive feedback afterwards, and it was very different. So, manners, silly one, right? Manners. But show respect to others, and they'll show respect to you. This is common sense. Be gracious, and everybody will be grateful to you. One thing I do stick into here, that's not on the slide, is make sure you have, and practice a good handshake. Regardless of where you go, be willing to put your hand out. I know, being a female in a very male-dominated area, you tend to be oftentimes when the only females in the room. All the guys walk in the room and all shake hands, and then they get to me and they go, "What am I, chopped liver? I don't want to be the one." So, I found that I need to be the one. Okay, hello. And then, I practiced young to make sure I knew how to get a good handshake. Some people say, I've got one better than my brothers. But it's very important, and I've been a Girl Scout leader, and it's one of those things I taught my Girl Scouts to do. I said, all right, tonight we're practicing handshakes. Isn't Mahoney really? Yes. You're going to learn something that you will use forever. Boys tend to practice it all their lives. Girls never do. So you get into the workplace and you're like, that's comfortable. So I would like to take a second here and practice handshaking each other. If you want to do hold, partial hand, that kind of search, especially your wrist bands. Nice firm handshake. Hold the whole hand. A nice palm of the squeeze. No, you're there. And my daughter's used this, and she'll actually, she didn't go to UConn. She went to RIT. She's going to RIT now. And she's actually called me. She's like, I had an interview today. And he actually said, what a nice handshake I had. They'll remember you. You'll be different than anybody else, right? The handshake is important. Listening skills. Can't express it enough, the importance of listening skills. And it's something some people may have to practice, because oftentimes you're already thinking about what I'm going to say next. And I'm not really listening to what's being said to me. And you're going to lose things. So listening skills, it's kind of a two-way. Some people will listen by nodding. Yep, I'm getting it. Yep, okay. Be careful you don't do too much interruption. I've had opportunity to present to this one officer, and he kept going, I'm like, I wanted to say stop it, but I had to respect him for his position. But it was made very difficult for me to be continuing to present to him when he kept saying. So I warn people, it's something I watched others, and I think, okay, I don't want to ever do that to someone, because it makes it really hard. But nodding, smiling, like I'm acknowledging that I'm hearing it. This is what I'm looking for while I'm talking to you guys. I'm like, reach out. I get a couple of them. Okay, I get it. So look for that acknowledgement. You can repeat something to someone, and that shows that I heard what you said. You can paraphrase it. These are all little tips that you can do to show that I got the message, and then it actually confirms. In some lines of work, you've got this three-part communication where I'm going to say it, I'm going to repeat it, and I'm going to repeat it back 3 times. We do that in our dispatch center. But it's great communication practice to make sure that the message that you want to relay is the message heard. And they can actually relay that to you. So I do have an exercise. I don't want to do this. I think I got it. You want to do something fun before you pizza? Kind of near the end. All right, it's called actually the MacGyver exercise. So I had a bag full of stuff. Stuff. My husband thought I was nuts going through the house and all the, your junk drawers and wherever you are, you have a junk drawer. I know. And then you pull out things, I had paintbrushes and all kinds of just wacky. It gets really interesting when you get spiders and you never know in our house what you're going to pull out. So everyone's going to grab one item, and I've got to find a way to get this somewhere around. back in the bag and asked you to get a piece of paper out and make a list of all of the items that I pulled out, how many think you'd be able to remember? As many as there, maybe 5, right? There might be some unique ones that you'd remember, more than others. So the point of this is that if I give every single person one of these, and then we're going to tell the story, and you're going to pass the ball to whoever you want. And they have to continue the story. So you have to just tell, we'll pick a person if somebody wants to offer themselves up as the theme of the story, or we can pick a generic character that the story will be about. And you just say one little thing that you have to incorporate the item, and then you pass the bag. So it's going to show you that because you're listening, not knowing when you're next, and you're paying attention to how I can incorporate this into that story, you will remember more. So it's really an exercise in listening. I'm just going to aim way back. Everyone, I'll apologize now. Take a short. Easy stuff first. Protractor. What's my face? Oh, ruler, number 1 bad ruler. They get 2 things. Pick one. Right. Bracelet. Sit down. Facebook. That's fire. Madam Page. Magnifier, motion, battery. Mouse. Carry it on.
No, that's like the worst thing you can get. It's very hard. It's engineering. It's a silicon.
All right, last opportunity to change, if you want a screwdriver, battery, like I said, off in the junk. Nobody picked the teeth. Ready, you change? All right. So, you gonna tell a story about somebody in the room, or you wanna pick a character?
We volunteer.
What's it?
We volunteer ourselves as a character.
We could, anybody you wanna tell the story about?
Yeah.
Pick a guy, pick a person.
Sounded like you were somewhere. And then we all meet in classroom. You guys know JEK?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's a good one, yeah.
Okay, then you start.
With this?
Once upon a time, you're gonna say something about, what's the name?
Jay got to cancel the class.
Oh, okay. You're gonna say something about him, with this involved, very short, and then you're gonna, no,
Oh, okay, this is
you
not
just
the
need this,
outtake,
your turn.
okay.
Hit the ball, you're the only one talking.
I got it.
When you're done, and then you end it with, and then, pass the ball to anybody you want. And they have to carry on the story.
Okay.
With their
this is
item.
fun.
Let's speak loud enough, everyone hears you, we're communicating too.
I'm going to make something up. When I receive emails from JEK about class cancellation, I have to use this because he uses a very small font. Which way do we go?
Anywhere, no, anywhere.
Anywhere.
You can throw it at
Good
somebody
shot,
if you
yeah.
want.
Okay.
That's why I picked a soft one.
That was for you, bro.
The emails are small,
His
magnifier.
emails are using small fonts probably because he's using too many words. He should learn how to maybe use
You have to use your,
plastic cursor to sentences in under blank.
pass the ball.
But see, the reason he doesn't do that is he just puts on these sunglasses afterwards and tells people to deal with the fun the way it is.
It's cool like that.
to show off with his wristband.
Of course, when he's looking at his wristband and how cool it is, he frequently notices outside so much, his hands get all frozen and chopped up, so he has to put on some real nice hand lotion to keep himself looking good.
I once told him that to increase the visibility of his emails, he should make his font or his letter size about a centimeter.
So he wrote down the tips about the emails on a notebook so that he will not forget.
Yeah, not only the size of the letters, probably used to measure the angle of the letters. So that will be more clear than normal.
So, the technicians found that some of the wires are cut, and that was the reason of getting small faults. That's it.
Yeah.
He uses mouse to let me sense out the
See the mouse cut wires.
He used to like to write on with pencils, but he finds that using this sharpener is so painful, so he decided to use emails to communicate with others.
Actually, the email was so long, I could paste this one. So I think you should write in a short way, not a long one, to be more effective. Oh, sorry.
I'm here.
Because you already.
Oh yeah. So no, I got an email from, or I didn't get an email. That class was canceled one day, and so I sent them one. I told them that it stinks that class wasn't canceled. And I had to lock my nose so I couldn't smell all the stink.
Okay, I think he should blow a whistle to call some people to see that if the font is okay.
When class wasn't canceled the other day, some students thought he was gambling with our safety.
After he received the email and he feels very hungry and go to eat the breakfast, and so but he found a pink spider in his bowl.
After the spider was found, it's climbing to a baseball card. There's in front is a nice baseball player, and so he decided to play baseball with them.
So there was a smiley face. His face was smiling actually. Sorry.
So because of his gambling problems and his family is getting fed up with him, they tried to tape him up to the chair, and that's also why the email was so long. He didn't have enough to do on that day. He was just sitting there writing and writing, so the emails were very long but very small at the same time. Who else is?
He planned to play with the skateboard with his friend, so he sent an email for his friend. Other one?
Okay, so he's traveling the world and decides he wants to switch professions and become a traveling artist with his blue crayon, which he's signature for, so he just draws beautiful blue paintings everywhere. Oh,
but only with watercolors and very tiny prints because he only uses tiny brushes.
Anybody else?
We thought that the length of the email should be the length of the email should be along with its length. Well,
Based on all those and he was trying to use this lucky or something that hopefully one day we're not gonna have that much snow, but he didn't really pay attention that there is only 3 sides of the snow, so we had enough snow.
To make sure everyone knows that it's his paintings and his emails, he ends them with a trolley stamp. That's his signature.
Okay, did everybody go? Okay, I'm gonna collect these and see if you can remember. Alright, so we can do this separately. You might remember something different each, but who wants to start us off? What do you remember as items?
I'll start. I had sunglasses, tape, notepad, protractor, a smiley face, ruler, right, the measuring tape. I don't remember a trolley, bracelet, a trolley stamp, the Lucky Charm. I don't remember, don't recall, baseball card, pink spider, skateboard, pencil sharpener, ruler. I don't remember this side, and then we get to hand lotion, blue crayon, a paintbrush, a magnifying glass, a clothespin, and gambling dice.
Good. Imagine you remember all those. When you're engaged in the discussion and game or whatever, you'll tend to remember more because you're actively listening. Because you had to know if you were going to be next, how you're going to continue the story, and then you'll automatically remember more. So it's just a lesson in how to build a process in your mind to listen more, and then retain what you listen and share it. That's awesome. Thank you. All right. Get to my next slide. You guys get to back to your seats.
I was just going to say, for Easter.
Whatever impression you want people to have of you, that's the space that you keep, right? So if you're a mess, people are going to assume you're pretty disorganized. And I've had people like this. I had a woman that worked for me. She was responsible for distributed generation. So generation which was coming online. This was years ago. So it was early on in the industry. And she would come to a meeting, and it was as if she pulled every file and book from her desk. It was all mismatched, disheveled, and she'd come down and she'd sit and I'm just like, oh, You know, you can just tell that when I talk to her, her brain's gonna be as scattered as those papers, right? So it says a lot, it really truly says a lot about how you behave. So clear up the mess if you don't want to be perceived. If you want to be perceived as the slob. Okay, I'm bored at work, I'm sleeping at my desk. Disengaged, so you think everybody's going to want to pick you to be on their team, you want to get that great next project. Got it. People that put their feet up on their desk. Quite arrogant, and I actually had a manager that did that. And I used to hate him in his office because it drove me nuts. He'd claim that it's, oh, I got a back problem. No, I don't buy it. Put your feet up on the desk, very arrogant. He actually was giving out our pay increases once a year to get a little raise. And he gave it to me on the smallest post-it note, stuck to his finger with his feet up on the desk. And I'm like, what was that? So of course my retort back to him was, you know, I had a bad dream last night. I dreamt that I got 0%. And I just, you know, my heart's on, stomach's on, I felt awful. It's just, and he goes, no, that's a good raise. I said, and half of it was his delivery. I probably would have been acceptance of that amount. When you deliver it to that way, and it's sticky. So again, observe. I noted that, and so when I was finally in a position where now I'm the one who went out the raises, I write a letter. I sign the letter. I hand it to them. I shake their hand. Congratulations. Thank you for a nice job. Keep up the good work. No matter what that dollar amount is, they're like, thanks. You know? And I'm giving some people a low knowledge amount, and they're appreciative of it because I'm portraying that. I'm giving them food. Just right. So, you know, you keep your space clean, organized. That's the way you want people to perceive you. They will. Now, a desk that's too empty, I suspect. I've seen some of those, and I wonder how they get their job done like that. Nothing on the desk. And they come to a meeting, but there's nothing to write out. See that good? So, be careful of that too. You can go too far with that. But the bottom line is, it's all up to you on what you want to take from messages from here and what you want to do with it. You know, this was written when I was talking to people who were in our company. So I say, observe other people. So I've always carried around a notebook with me. Every meeting I go to, and I just keep writing in my notebook. But the last page, I used to, now I don't need to do it because I can do it in my mind. I used to watch the leadership of the company. No matter what meeting I'm in, somebody's in charge of that meeting. And I'd have 2 columns, and I'd write plus and minus. And you just observe, and you see what works, what doesn't work. What works in terms of how that person's communicating. Are people engaged? Are they getting everybody involved in what they're talking about, or are they just talking to hear themselves? And you kind of note things, phrases they may use that worked out well, or actually phrases that they use that, wow, that turned people off. Don't say that one again. And you learn a whole lot from just watching and observing, and then trying things out for yourself. So that's really, my gift to you is some tips and things to keep aware of. Know that people are going to watch, especially in the workplace. You're going to watch, they're going to watch, 24/7. So be aware of that. Be cognizant of how you communicate. Make sure that if it's a specific message that is so important that they interpret it the way you want them to, that you have a face-to-face. Have the face-to-face. Not even a phone call will do sometimes. You have to have some face-to-face communications. And for some people, when you get into a large enough company, it might mean, I got to go a 3-hour drive. My last role was director of transmission engineering, and I had folks working for me up in New Hampshire, so if I needed to face-to-face, 3.5-hour drive. To do it. So that's what I leave you with. Does anybody have any questions? Comments? Is this interesting? You have a question?
Regarding the handshake, way back in the 50s or whatever, it wasn't really proper for guys to offer the hand to a girl for a handshake, and that's obviously changed. Well, I wanted your opinion on that. If you feel like that's a relic of a stipulation nowadays.
You're absolutely right. At one time,
When I was
women wanted
growing up,
to be set aside different. from someone who's female in the field, and when I see everybody else shaking hands and kind of doing this to me, I'd rather shake hands. I love it. And I don't know, speaking for maybe some of the other women here, you know, I don't want to be treated like a man, but that to me is not being treated like a man. That's a professional welcome.
I just remember my mom teaching me that when I was growing up, so I'm kind of averted to, you know, shoving my hand in a girl's face.
Now, if it were, you know, if it was a senior citizen that you're helping across the street, I don't think I'd give them an aggressive shake of the hand. But, you know, you've got to use your judgment call. But I think any woman in a professional field would appreciate a nice handshake. And be, you know, use your judgment. If they're a frail person, if they're this tiny little frail person, well, be easy. But don't rub this. That gives me nothing to hold. If somebody squeezes too early, I got nothing. I love that.
So anything like that in terms of age, so does it matter if the younger person starts the handshake? Or?
Well, obviously, starting the handshake, anyone can start. Anyone can offer the handshake. And it's pretty easy to do when you're new, right? And you're just meeting someone. That comes natural. It's just when you're saying hello again, guys tend to that be natural, and it's not natural to do that to women. I've made it a big point with some guys, so they all want to go, hey, I gotta shake your hand. It's like, yeah. But no, my last boss was over 60, and she would shake hands. I don't know that she was one of those very petite, her hands are very small, so I don't know.
Again, because some of these are cultural.
Absolutely, yeah.
Culture I'm coming from, younger people don't offer to the older people. So they wait for the older person to do that, for example, similar to the 60s.
You need to take that into consideration, for sure. But if you see everybody shaking hands, and you see the poor female standing there alone, please go shake her hand. Leave them out. Leave them hanging, it's like high five, leave hanging. Kaboom, leave hanging. Just include, everybody should include it. You know, you can go on and on with different, you know, leadership trainings and being engaged and you know, right now our big focus at work is company employee engagement, so making sure that employees feel part of the organization. You're not just talking to people, you're talking to them. So that, I mean, you can go on and on and on. So I just figured, pick one little subject that is fun to talk about. Anybody else?
Earlier you mentioned the story that the engineer, or I was saying engineer, I can't remember if it was engineer or scientist, who just really got into the room, basically intellectually insulting everyone. And
He insulted the
boss.
boss.
Which is, you know, a common issue, particularly if you're in hard science or specialty fields. Presenting to a diverse crowd can include business, marketing, engineers in different subspecialties. Obviously, you have to find the balance between background information and now you're just consulting someone. And I think you're the one who has to kind of, it's harder to, it's important to build engagement. Like, how would you approach trying to gauge an audience and figure out both respectful, polite way, but also, you know, trying to figure out like how much you actually know on the subject. So I can give you the background necessary to understand my presentation without insulting you with something you learned in 5th grade.
Right, so part of it is knowing who you're presenting to. Obviously, if it's a complete stranger, you're going to have to go with what, you know, your gut feel. But if you're in an organization, you should know who it is you're going to be speaking to. And if you don't feel comfortable that you know what their background knowledge is, just ask somebody. A lot of people that work around you, ask your peers, ask, you know, if there's a layer of management in between, ask. This person could have asked me, could have asked their boss, who reported to me, and then it was a VP at UC. So just ask. Don't be shy in saying, look, I've got to make a presentation to so-and-so. What would you recommend? Because they're all going to be a little different. They all have their quirks and whatnot. And so you just have to get to know how it is they want to hear information. Because I know some of them only want to hear plus stuff, positive. They're falling down. I want to hear them falling down. So you have to somehow spin it so that, yeah, we're doing good. You know, you can find a way to say things the way they want to hear it. But yeah, you have to get to know the organization and be comfortable asking questions. That's what we have. Just ask questions.
You're saying the body language carries most of what we have to say, what they are saying, right?
Language was, the words were 7%. Body language, 55%.
So when you're talking to corporate leader, do you have guidelines about what would be the best to do when you're trying to ask for something?
So if you're going there to interview or sell a product or something like this, well, you know, I would stand tall. So again, what I'm wearing is going to make me want to stand tall. I'm not you know, slouch. I'm going to keep some eye contact. If they're looking at you, you're looking at them. Eye contact is important. Try to avoid, you know, the nervous things. That's what she's thinking back and forth. I have my admin now. She can't talk to me about doing this. Like, do you have a baby in your arms? I don't know. The bag of, she can't not do this. So just, you know, I mean, stand with both feet down. Try not to kind of lean on one end. Stand with both feet down. The power stance is straight. Hips straight, feet down, and shoulders back. That's with some authority, you know. You're standing in some authoritative stance.
Can that be overdone? Do that look
Well,
threatening like that?
part of it now is how close you're going to get to somebody. Okay? You're not going to go like this. So if you know what I mean, you approach someone at a reasonable distance, the handshake distance is perfect, right? And you express what you're going to say. They'll listen. If you're looking straight at them, you have something good to say, they'll listen.
Question more about different parties. Do you think makeups and perfumes are important for work, when you work, to wear makeups and perfumes?
Makeup, a mild amount of makeup is fine. Don't overdo it unless you're going to be in the movies or, you know, the street corner. You know, moderate amount. You don't go overboard. Perfume, my personal is I wouldn't wear the perfume. Same with the cologne. If it's just overwhelming, there's more people out there that are allergic to that stuff. I'm one of them. That, you know, I used to have these one-on-one meetings with this woman who, it was a lovely perfume. It wasn't, you know, obnoxious or anything. But I would get sick after we'd meet. And so I had to ask her, I said, you know, on the days of me, you think you can not with a perfume? And they were totally fine with it. So the bottom line is, with anything, with what you're wearing, with the makeup and the perfume or the colognes or anything, just don't overdo it. There's no need to. You know, we're all beautiful people without a lot of stuff going on. Be yourself. That's what people want to see. They want to see yourself. They're more, you know, the people that are going to hire you are more interested in what they hear than anything else. You just got to get there. And unfortunately, because we're humans, we judge everything else on their own. So I'm just trying to help you peel away some of the other layers that could get in your way so that they can see you for you. Anything else? Tommy's grumbling?
And this is our schedule from the stage. Another book for
Thank you.
Our next graduate professional development workshop is on the 25th. And remember what it is on? I don't remember what it's on, sorry. But it's on the 25th, so in like 2 weeks, I think. And then, do we have anything next week?
Yeah, we have a board meeting. So this is next Wednesday from 12:30 to 1:30. It'll be in IT 336. And so we invite all of you to come. It's an opportunity for you to understand how we work and get your feedback regarding maybe what events that we should have, what we shouldn't have. It's always very instructive. And it's only an hour long, so we encourage you if you're even remotely interested in this. Thank you.
Before I leave, if anybody wants to talk about the utility business, I'd be happy to share what Eversource Energy was. If you don't know that name, we were Northeast Utilities. Star, Western Mass Electric, and Public Service in New Hampshire, 6 companies now run it. So it's just the new name of Northern Utilities. And it just came out last week, so this comes in handy because everything I have says CLMP on it, and I'm not allowed to use that. This one is from Business